High five!
And welcome in, everybody, to the MHRT podcast. I'm your host, Mundungus Creevy, alongside my co-host, 6'10", Mr. Boggins, and Glenn Hauser. We are a fan-led, Broncos-based podcast, filling you in on all things NFL news, but more importantly, Broncos news. We go live every Thursday, 7654. You know where to put them, on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch. So make sure you slap that thumbs up button, subscribe, turn on notifications, follow us on Facebook, so you can know when we go live and anytime we post amazing content on our pages. Now, as most of you have noticed, we have a very special guest today. He's one of the hosts of the Mile High Insiders and a writer for Mile High Huddle. He's also a former member of the Pee Wee Football Backups Ring of Fame. And the former third-string punter from Pikes Peak Community College right there in Colorado Springs, Colorado. Luke Patterson, everybody.
Yeah. What's going on, MHRT? What's up?
I spent like 45 minutes trying to figure out what I was going to say for an intro. And then
dude, I love it. That was great. I'll take
an hour. Yeah.
I'll be a punter, man, if I can only be as cool as Marquette King with, the king is here with a drop. I'll be good to go, man.
That's true.
So we've got Luke on here for what, about 20 minutes? So
yeah, man, let's do it. Let's have some fun.
Let's get right into some things that we've got going on in Broncos country. So obviously the Juwan James situation, we have no idea what money he's going to get or not get, but they did go ahead and sign Bobby Massey to a 1-year contract. Do you see Bobby Massey as the starter, or are they going to try to go find somebody else with Massey as like a backup?
I know that they're really high on Calvin Anderson, right? But I think they signed Massey on a 1-year, $4 million deal. So they're getting a right tackle that's dirt cheap, fellas. I mean, absolutely dirt cheap. I think he's been a starter the past 8 years in the NFL. So I think George Paton would take the politically correct line of it's going to be a competition, just like the quarterbacks, right? I don't know if I'm buying it completely. I don't know how much trust Pat Shurmur is going to have with a brand new offensive tackle, but that's what Mike Munchak is for. I'm expecting Calvin Anderson. Really, I like this kid a lot. I'm not saying he's going to be a starter, but right now I think he's got a slight edge in the race just being an internal candidate.
Okay. Travis Tarbox, curious as to why we signed Massey over Dennis Kelly.
That's a good question. That's a really good question. Another good question is, how about DeMar Dotson, right? I mean, he's not going to cause you any money either. Is he the best right tackle option? I don't know. Is he any, worse than Massey or Kelly? Hard to say. It's a weird, watered down kind of market at this point when it comes for the right tackles. And I know everybody wants their pound of flesh for the Broncos not getting a right tackle in the NFL draft. This is what we've got to work with right now. And I think that the competition is really something George Paton is emphasizing on all levels of the board. But Mike Munchak, this has got to be his call. In Mike Munchak, we trust, right? So if Mike Munchak is saying, let's go get this cat, Bobby Massey, 8-year starter, he can provide depth, he can provide competition at that starting position, I think it's worth the shot.
This is kind of nice. We can just ask Luke a question and he goes on and answers it. We're normally just staring at each other and then pass it over to Boggins.
Yeah. Well, no. Let's open it up a little bit. I mean, I'm curious to ask you fellas, okay, Juwan James goes down, right? Worst thing ever. We could all see it coming in a weird way. The NFL draft, you can't go back, right? We can all sit here and just piss and moan and everything else. But the bottom line is, it is what it is with Juwan James. So, who would your ideal right tackle spot be? Now, I was talking to my dad last night, and I think it was Alejandro Villanueva who signed the day of Juwan James's injury, right? It was that morning, and it's damn, he would have came to the Broncos with Mike Munchak. At least I like to think so, but I'd like to open it up to you guys for a minute. I mean, when it comes down to that right tackle, it feels really watered down. What do you guys think of the candidates, let alone the signing?
I was and still am pretty high on Mitchell Schwartz. I'm just concerned that he's not medically going to be cleared or ready to go. But I mean, if he was good to go, Mitchell Schwartz.
Yeah, I thought they were going to go with Dennis Kelly. That was going to be my pick because, he was getting a lot of momentum going into tryouts or whatever. But once they started adding more of these names that the backup right tackle that they signed from Carolina. The room started to get a little bit crowded, and somehow Bobby Massey was just able to come in and, lead the front and win the job.
Yeah, I guess I'm not really surprised about Massey. I mean, the spares, like,
Connection.
there seems to be a whole thing, I was actually surprised also that the Titans got rid of Kelly. They only saved $3.2 million, and they got rid of their starting right tackle. So I was a little bit suspicious on that. But I thought Cam Fleming would even have a better shot at 28 years old and the size that he is. But, we're going to be fine. We were without James last year anyway. I'm not worried that we didn't draft anyone Mundungus was beside himself that day, but I'm fine. I think we're going to be good. So
what did I call it? I was beside myself.
Let's back up that bus real quick over Mike and the right tackle. When we were doing our war room, and I know you guys were doing yours, it was weird. And I know, my co-host Nick Kendall was calling for, I think it was Spencer Brown out of Iowa or Northern Iowa. Hard to say who the Broncos were targeting in the draft. I didn't think it was a really great right tackle draft, to be honest with you. There weren't a lot of tackles that I had really a ton of interest in, even going to the 4th round. So maybe it's that way when George Payton's looking at it. But, when it comes to Jawan James, it is what it is. I think it's the worst free agent signing ever. I don't think anyone's ever going to argue with me on that. Yeah. But, bringing in Bobby Massey brings a veteran in the room. It's a pretty young room. I know it's a vet room with Garrett Bowles as a Pro Bowler, and Dalton Reisner's now a vet into his 3rd year, and you've got Cush trying to compete a little bit. Graham Glasgow wondering if he's going to stay healthy. You're getting a lot of Natan Moody love, right? You guys see it on Twitter. Y'all even pumping up on Twitter. I don't know a single person that doesn't like Natan Moody. Graham Glasgow called him the strongest human he's ever met in his life. So if Natan Moody can take another step, I think there's another look at competition. Now, Graham Glasgow's expensive, right, at the right guard position, so I don't know that he would be a camp casualty, so to speak, with those dead cap numbers and everything else like that. But it's another position to look out for. Right tackle, also center, getting Quinn Miners, my guy, my belle of the ball from the Senior Bowl. Absolutely pumped about that. But Cushenberry, man, can you play guard? Because you need to start being able to play something.
Yeah.
I mean, really, that's something that Vic Fangio and George Payton talked about ad nauseum in their draft press conferences. In the end, look, you got to be versatile on this offensive line. So if Dalton Reisner is the emergency right tackle, good God, Cush, you need to train him to play guard at least.
People have been bringing up who they think which rookie is going to start first. I honestly think it might be Quinn Miners. I don't even know if because they already said that they're going to try him out at they said start him at tackle. That's obviously not what they meant, but they're going to start him out at trying at center. I mean, and I honestly don't know if Cush has a chance. I just see Miners coming in there and just tearing everything apart. I mean, don't get me wrong, coming from D3 to go into to the NFL is a big jump, but I mean, you see the tenacity in the kid, you see what he does in his workouts, and you hear him in interviews and stuff, and he just seems like he's just ready to throw people. And you've seen what he's done in film, so
yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised.
And he's tanks.
Yeah.
So Luke, what did you see? I'm sorry to cut you off. What did you see as you're doing your answer? What did you see behind the scenes that maybe wasn't so obvious to us at the Senior Bowl with Miners? What really stood out for you witnessing it firsthand?
Something, surprise, everybody freaking noticed him. I mean, before Daniel Jeremiah called him the belle of the ball, his favorite player, guys were like, who is this dude with the gut out in the half shirt dominating people? I had to look on my roster sheet because I don't know what Wisconsin Whitewater's official logo looks like. Never even heard of them. Man, it's just so impressive when you watch this kid. He's got some of the best hands I've ever seen. his hand placement, his hand replacement, his aggression, his pad level. Now, sometimes when you're watching film, he gets a little overzealous because he's bossing those D3 players around and sometimes gets that momentum going the wrong way. But for me, it's the intangible stuff with Quinn Miners. I would like a little bit more height on my center than Quinn has, but that's okay. He wants to learn. And just pairing him with a Mike Munchak, I've never seen a player, guys, ever go from undrafted third D3 to third round. I mean, those odds are astronomically high. So, are the odds for him becoming a starter in the rookie in his rookie year high? You bet. Should we bet against it? Absolutely not. He's got the best coach in the league. I agree with Box completely, man. Kush, you gotta watch out, and I hope you've been in that weight room because you see Quentin Miners throwing those logs around.
and about the back, back to the tackle position though, real quick. The Calvin Anderson. I've been talking about Calvin Anderson since last year. I know that he wasn't that great on right tackle, but it was his first time ever trying, going to right tackle. But he showed a lot of promise at left tackle when Garrett Bowles had the sickness.
Dude, you can say it.
Yeah, I know.
COVID.
No.
He had the scoots.
Flu. Yeah, he had the scoots.
The scoots.
I honestly think that Munchak passed off to Peyton that he was pretty comfortable in Calvin Anderson to the point where they didn't feel the need to really move up for a tackle during the draft. Like, there's speculation that reports that they had tried to acquire like a Spencer Brown, Christensen, and a Tommy Doyle. However, they did move up for a Javonte Williams, but they didn't move up for any tackle play, which makes me think that they were semi-comfortable with Juwan James, of course, and then potentially with the depth of Calvin Anderson. I mean, no one's going to guess that Achilles is going to happen. You know what I mean? So I think Munchak's pretty high on Calvin.
I think you hit the nail on the head, and you're right there, Boggs. I mean, like, everyone wants to talk about developmental tackles as if they can only be rookies. Yeah. That is not the case. Look at how long it took Garrett Bowles to get this together. And he's not a developmental tackle anymore, but, like, it takes time, man. And you know what? You don't have a rookie in Calvin Anderson. You've got a guy that's got those critical game reps that you were talking about. Mike Munchak, if he likes a player, he's going to go and stick his neck out for him. And that's one of the biggest reasons why I think it's going to be a competition. Now, I'm always kind of looking for the next, I think Broncos country in general, right? We're always looking for the next project for Mike Munchak. Who's it going to be? Dalton Reisner doesn't really need to be him. He's got his stuff together. Quinn Miners, okay, that sounds like a fun project. Graham Glasgow, not a project. Right tackle, a definite project. Well, you're not getting a project in an 8-year starter with Bobby Massey. So that leaves one option. Calvin Anderson, project with Mike Munchak. I like it.
Yeah. So, Luke, how did you get started with the scouting and with the with the evaluations?
Yeah, I'll tell you how I broke into it, man. So it's a small world. It's a really, really small world. I live here in Roxborough in Colorado, and I'm out doing yard work, and I've got my wife out there with me, my kiddo with me. And this little Ford Focus pulls up, and out of it comes this guy wearing frosted jeans, gelled hair, fancy glasses. And I look at my wife and I go, that's effing Cecil Lammy. And she looks at me like, how the heck do you know who this grown man is? And so we start talking. He moves right across the street. He's like, yeah, I'm buying this house. Well, a couple weeks later, there's a radio contest for the radio station that he works for, and hooked up and actually got to do some auditions with him and a few other hosts, and then didn't make the cut, didn't win the contest. My boy John Davis did, and I'm friends with him to this day. But Cecil basically took me under his wing, man, and he's like, hey, you ever think about writing? Start writing. So I started writing, sending him some articles, eventually hooked on with a few publications, and then the rest is history. And, I get asked all the time, how do you break into it? Just do it. You guys do it. I mean, everybody does it. Reps. It doesn't matter if it's podcasting, if it's writing, if it's tweeting, if it's working on the car, if it's mowing the lawn. It doesn't matter what it is. Get those reps in and you'll do better. And you've just, you got to attach yourself to folks that want to see you succeed. But when you ask someone for help and they give you direction, do it. because they're going to wonder if you did it. And the next time you ask for help, they're going to come back and say, hey, well, did you follow up on what I told you to do? And, you know, it's one of those things, man, where people are so generous with their time. Use it as a gift. I'm pumped to be on with you guys right now. This is a gift to me. This is, you know, me getting to rap football with some of my buddies, with another great podcast that I care about, that allows me to get better, that allows you to get better. So that's kind of how I started, man. Just a crazy neighbor that moved in, became my best friend, and a radio contest that I didn't win.
That's amazing.
Well, we'll take all of your nice compliments and say you're welcome.
I'll take it.
We got Kenneth Bunker jumping in. Hey, Luke, what numbers does Locke have to put up to get an extension? Would 26 and 10 do it for you?
Oh, KB.
I knew we were going to get this question.
Gosh dang it.
I think I
remember
had
you're on MHRT
I
now.
think-
What?
You
can do what you want.
Okay,
Gloves
so
are off.
I don't need to
Gloves are
worry.
off.
I don't need to be called the Drew Lock hater or just say I'm
still
Oh, no,
gonna
you'll
get
still
called
get
the
that.
Drew Lock
You'll still
hater,
get
but
that.
Okay.
the only one in here that's like a Lock lover would probably the closest would be a Dot.
All right. So
The rest of us, I keep saying, are skeptically optimistic.
26 touchdowns and 10 interceptions. So, KB, my answer to that would be, well, my question to that would be, what's that translate to wins and losses? Because that's ultimately what's going to keep a job, let alone an extension. Oh, man. 26 touchdowns and 10 interceptions. That sounds great. Sure. That absolutely does it for me. That's a major improvement for Drew Lock. That's going from last to probably upper echelon, middle of the pack in the NFL. But hey, it's not just those interceptions. I want to know, how many fumbles does Drew Lock have? How many sacks does Drew Lock have?
Well, that would be the 26, I think. He was 26 fumbles and 10 interceptions.
I think, you know, so KB, you're my guy, and I want to see Drew do well. And you guys have heard me say it ad nauseum, unless like the Magna Carta has fallen into his lap of football and he comes out, you know, OTAs, if they ever want to come back to OTAs, if we're being honest, training camp, if he comes out and his footwork is finally better after 3 years, I'm going to feel a lot better about Drew Lock. Just that one thing. I'm not talking about reads. I'm not talking about sight thrower. None of that stuff. I want to see just his footwork, because I've been waiting 3 years to see this man clean up his footwork. And until he could do something as simple as that, it's hard for me to get on board with the 26 touchdowns, 10 picks. But KB, I love it. That's a good season, man.
Yeah, I think I had it broken down to like 35, 30, and 10. Like 3,500 yards, 30 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. But
yeah, well,
that's for me, it's like if we're not going to get that top 10, top echelon quarterback, why are we messing around with him? Let's go get one that can be.
Sure.
So
well,
if you're not going to put up those numbers, then I don't want you.
Yeah, well, no Bronco quarterback has thrown for over 3,000 yards since Peyton Manning. I mean, so Drew would be the first one to do it. Teddy barely did it, I think, last year, so he doesn't really count because that was with Carolina. But yeah, Drew has a ton of improvements, obviously, but the biggest thing that I can't stand is when I hear Drew Lock apologists or Drew Lock fans say he deserves another chance. No, he doesn't. He doesn't deserve anything. You know what? No one deserves anything in the NFL. You know who deserves something? Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers deserved a freaking phone call the night that Jordan Love was drafted, and he didn't get that. So I'm done with this deserve stuff. Drew Lock,
he's whiny, right? He's whiny though, right?
Well, I was gonna say, like,
he's so whiny.
The Bears called Andy Dalton, but the Packers couldn't call Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah,
no, we talked to Drew before the Bridgewater trade.
Yeah.
So Luke, again, we're gonna put you on the spot.
Do it.
Who is the Broncos starting quarterback for game 1?
Teddy Bridgewater.
Oh snap!
Ooh,
It's Teddy.
Okay.
It's Teddy Bridgewater.
I completely agree.
I changed that in 12 hours. The last interview he did, I think, with Nick and Cease, heard him talk, and I liked him a lot. I've heard some interviews with Teddy, but man, I think Teddy's got something. I think he's got this. I mean, he doesn't have too much left in the tank, right? He's going to end up like Ryan Fitzpatrick playing for half the league if he keeps going at this rate. So Vic Fangio, I think, is definitely going to attach himself to Teddy Bridgewater, but Pat Shurmur's going to make things a lot easier for Teddy Bridgewater than he does for Drew Lock, and that's a disadvantage for Drew Lock. Pat Shurmur, I don't think he likes Drew Lock, and I don't think I'm surprising anybody when I say that. Just go back and listen to any post-game press conference from last year, and Pat Shurmur is backing that proverbial bus right over Drew Lock. Now, Drew Lock doesn't do that with him, only does it with the media, right? With, you guys can't play, so what do you know about it? Well, look what that did to Philip Lindsay, Drew. It's the lamest excuse in the book. So, yeah, man, I've got problems with it for sure. But Teddy, yes, I hear the retread quarterback. I get it. Yes, he's not the best option for lighting the world on fire, selling jerseys, getting everyone super excited, but he's not going to lose you games.
Yeah. And
so no,
you also got to think about Shurmur. Shurmur's job is on the hot seat next year. And who would he rather try to push forward to make him look good? You know what I mean? Like if you're going into training camp and you have Teddy Bridgewater, who's at least playing decently, right? You're probably going to push someone that makes your system look a lot better, or at least enough to maybe keep your job next year. So that's a question, I guess. That's a question I'd ask you guys, and you guys hear me just talk about it all the time. I mean, just it's I feel so repetitive with this Drew Lock conversation, but it's not all on Drew. Yes, but Pat Shurmur, I don't have confidence in Pat Shurmur. I don't have confidence in Vic Fangio. Those time management issues and Pat Shurmur with his play calling, that goes into a lot of the doubt with Drew Lock. It's all about fit in the NFL, right? Well, I'm not so sure any of these coaches and the quarterbacks fit each other right now. Do I think one will do better than the other? Yeah. Could I see Drew Lock starting? Sure. Now, with that, I would challenge folks to, how long would Drew Lock start? Does he get a 3-game stretch, 4-game stretch, 5-game stretch? Schedule just got released. Everyone's calling it, the 5th easiest schedule? So if that's the case, do you give Drew Lock the keys and say, all right, bud, we're going to go ahead and support you? If that's the case, should be no problem to go 3-0, 4-0, right? If he doesn't, then I think you start to look at a change. Maybe in week 4, maybe in week 5, maybe that's week 6. A lot of quarterbacks get plugged in week 6. See, that's what worries me, though, is I'm afraid that this will become like the schedule is doable enough that Drew Lock will kind of, mediocre his way through some wins. And then you come up on next year and now you have a mediocre quarterback that you potentially have to pay the following year. So you're trying to then decipher what you want to do with it. So gosh,
are you reading off of my script?
Oh, sorry.
No, because this makes sense.
Okay. But yeah, I don't know. That's just the worst place for me, because that's just like an elongated purgatory.
Yeah, it's tough. And, everyone's going to be watching Justin Fields, right? Everybody's wondering. The conversation in Broncos country right now is all about Fields. I know, Boggs. I know, buddy. And it's all about prime time. It's all about prime time, too. Oh, well, if we have Justin Fields, do we have another primetime game? Maybe. I think so. Maybe, right? You're seeing an Ohio State quarterback or rookie quarterback in a new division that's full of, a second-year youth quarterback in Herbert. You got Pat Mahomes. He's obviously not going anywhere. Maybe that does get a primetime game going. But, the Bears are awful, too. I don't know how many prime times they have. But speaking of the schedule, I'm looking at Johnny's question here, man. Based on the schedule, what do I predict my final record for the Broncos to be? I'm not going to tell you on this show. I'm going to leave that be a tease, because everyone loves a tease. So I got a show I got to do on Saturday. But I'll say this, man, as I'm going through the schedule, the beginning of it really worries me, if I'm going to be honest, because, man, trap game. I'm worried about trap games at the beginning of the season, not only in the middle, man. When you're looking at Daniel Jones and the Giants, and, we're calling the Giants a bad team because they are. I would hate for the Broncos to overlook them. Same with the Jacksonville Jaguars and same with the Jets. You're looking at a team that is facing, 5 rookie head coaches this year, 2 rookie quarterbacks, and then 2 of those teams have a rookie quarterback and a rookie head coach in Jacksonville and New York. So, man, I would really – this isn't going to make Broncos country happy, but I'm going to keep it real. I think the Broncos would be lucky if they got to 500 this year. I really do. This is a slow burn, folks. Building takes time. George Payton, he's committed to this. What's his catchphrase, no shortcuts. Well, the easiest shortcut would be getting Aaron Rodgers here, right? Because then that changes everything. You go from worst to first potentially, and then we can look at the schedule and feel really happy about a lot more W's than losses. But man, those trap games, guys, they scare the heck out of me. I don't know about y'all.
You heard it here, folks. Luke said 16-1 with Rippon as the starter. That's what he said.
only if Coach calls him Mark Rippon, like his uncle last year. He's like, I don't know. You got John Elway saying what? Case Keesum thanking himself. You got Coach Fangio up there, getting after it with he doesn't know the name of his quarterbacks. So yeah, it's crazy, man. Never a dull day here in Broncos country.
Mark Langley, what's up, guys? What's up, Mark?
Hey, Mark.
We got Dave Glassman. Drew starts.
Maybe. Drew starts. Yeah. Hey, Drew. Hey, Dave, Drew could start, man. But you know what? He's got to have an awesome training camp. And I don't know about you guys. Hopefully we can all be out there for training camp this year. I'm not hearing anything yet. Fingers crossed, but I don't know. 7-on-7 is going to take on a new meaning down there at UC Health Training Center. I cannot wait to see the wide receivers against the DBs. Can't wait to see some of that trash talk. So if Drew Lock's not getting them the ball, expect the wide receivers to get a little upset. You're getting Cortland Sutton back. Finally, an adult is in the wide receiver room again. No disrespect. Love Timmy Pat, but I don't think that's Tim's style. Yeah, I don't think he's a natural leader. I think he just produces, man. He's a ball player. He's a great teammate, but he's not a natural leader. Cortland, on the other hand, I think Cortland's going to have a little something for the league this year.
So outside of the top 3 rounds, who do you think who are you most excited for, either in rounds 4 through 7 or undrafted free agents?
Yeah, I like Coop. I like Coop, man. Jonathan Cooper, I like a lot. Don't worry about this little heart thing, man. From what I understand, I don't want to call it a murmur because I'm not versed with what his actual condition is, but I do know it seems like that's the reason that his draft stock fell. Now, I like Coop a lot. We go back and forth, my co-host Nick Kendall and I, on whether or not to have his hand in the dirt or have him just going off the edge in a 2-point stance. I think he brings a lot of power to the game. I think he's the new pass rusher that you're seeing in the NFL right now. Bradley Chubb, large, lean, strong, a lot like Jonathan Cooper. He doesn't have the same bulk that Chubb has and doesn't have the same raw athletic talent, but Von Miller, there's only one Von. You're not seeing any more Gumbies. You're not seeing the light pass rusher anymore. You're seeing the bigger and the stronger, the Bosas, if you will. It took Javon Clowney how long to get a deal? And it's not just because he's a bad teammate, but because of some of his play. The style of pass rusher is changing. They're going to that Khalil Mack mold. You're getting more of the bull rushes in and less of the technical aspects. I hope they don't screw Baron Browning up. And what I mean by this is I don't want them playing him inside and outside and on the edge. Let's just work at one thing at a time. All right. Because
which one?
Inside, all day inside. And I don't care if that means you're going to rotate between if he works best with Alexander Johnson or Josie Jewell. I'm curious at that. I think the real competition should be between Josie Jewell and Alexander Johnson because I like Baron Browning in there. Now, I don't expect Baron Browning to start. The reason being, Vic Fangio doesn't quite trust rookies. Just ask Michael Ojemudia about that last and I'm still trying to figure out why Ojemudia was in Vic's doghouse. I don't know if he took his meatballs, his spaghetti, or what, but the tackling wasn't as bad as Vic said it was. I like Michael Ojemudia a lot, but that is just one example of Vic Fangio. He's got to really trust a rookie to be in there. If he's going to trust a rookie, maybe that rookie's Pat Surtain.
We got Shadow Jacker, the host of MHRT After Hours. The blasphemy. I don't know what you're referring to. Let me know on that.
Probably most of what we said.
Probably everything of what I said. I'm the biggest Drew Lock hater. I take that. No, but in all seriousness, man, I was writing for another publication at the time. Dude, I wanted the Broncos to take Drew Lock in the first round.
Yeah.
I was cheering that bandwagon. Can you imagine how bad that would have been? Everyone likes to give Elway grief, and yeah, Elway wanted to take him, but they didn't. At least they got Noah Fant. At least they got Dalton Reisner. You're starting to build up on some of these drafts, but dude, I would love it if Drew Lock worked out. I called Garrett Bowles a bust and I loved
So
eating
did
that
I.
crow.
Everybody.
I loved eating that crow. Everybody did. Exactly. So, I like to give my guy Lance, right, with Dove Valley Deep Divers, the most hell in the world because he likes to take the victory lap. But I'm like, dude, you were the only one, I guess, that loved Garrett Bowles, you and his mom, because everyone else couldn't stand it.
Who he was.
I kind of wish that. I kinda almost wish Watt was the
man.
first round just so we could have an extra year. But
an extra year? No.
I mean, at
For
least I don't know. At least you get a little bit more time to decide if he is like the guy, pans out, whatever. I would rather have that than go in the next year with pure mediocrity. That's just me. I don't know. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love Fant, but
yeah, no, I hear you. The quarterback, man, and it's the most important position in sports. So I think you've got a lot of reason to feel frustrated with the quarterback position right now. I think we all do. And, no one's banking on Aaron Rodgers being here. I think we're all seeing conflicting reports every day. I think I saw one before I hopped on with you guys that Aaron Rodgers, the Packers might be offering him a monster contract, which could make it difficult for the Broncos. Okay. Like, we're going to talk about this for the next 30 days or whatever until June's here. So
you got to remember, we got that tackle from the Packers. So obviously that's a sign that Aaron Rodgers is definitely coming to play.
Yeah. And I'm sure it doesn't make him happy that they're signing Blake Bortles, right? He's really threatened over Blake Bortles.
He's a higher draft pick.
You remember when
draft
Broncos country went nuts over Blake Bortles signing here?
I was so upset.
And it was calm down.
I was so upset. I was mad, man. I was so mad. I'm thinking this is as bad as it's gotten. And I asked you guys, who would you rather have throw a football? Tim Tebow or Blake Bortles? Because that is awful.
Tebow.
I would just say Tebow.
I would definitely.
I'm going Bortles.
Boggins, you go away.
I'll go Bortles because that crank up and everything is the ugliest thing you've ever seen, but at least it can go over 10 yards.
Bortles is way better of a thrower than Tebow. That's not even a
Shut your mouth.
Are you guys Tebow? Are you guys Tebow guys up there?
I've got a Tebow top jersey, man.
I was a Tebow fan up until 2011.
I don't
Dave Glassman, if I could have set my last comment with stars, I would have #monetized. You know what? If you can help us get to 1,000 subscribers, we can monetize. We're not big enough to monetize yet, but we will when we can.
Yeah,
working on it.
Yeah, hey guys, get at MHRT, man. These guys do a great job. They've got multiple shows. Get at them on Twitter. Get at them on Facebook. We are constantly talking. If you guys want to talk football, message all of these guys. Message me. We talk about it daily. This is a lifestyle, man. Football junkies, and it's one of the big reasons why I love coming on with you guys. But I'm just going to ask you right now because I got to know. Obviously, every Tim Tebow fan here thinks that he's going to make the team in Jacksonville, right?
What? No. Okay, but this is my pressure off. And I talked to all these guys. I think it was a couple weeks ago. I said, listen, Tebow in today's NFL would be a much better quarterback than he was back when he came in as a quarterback. Just because, why? Dude, compared Tebow to kind of like the offense.
Don't say Lamar Jackson.
No. Like kind of like the offense they run in Baltimore. Like that, the run.
He did it.
You called it.
No. I'm just saying, the run heavy.
Yeah,
offense where he's got the option. I mean, Josh Allen is a massive quarterback.
That's what
Tim Tebow's a massive quarterback. I'm not saying he would be the greatest of all time. I think that today's NFL would fit him better than it did when he came in.
That's what McDaniels is doing right now with Cam Newton. I mean, but it's like RPO on RPO on RPO. I mean, but it's Tebow just wasn't good. That's the only difference.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody's gonna hate me for this one. He won us more playoff games than Locke did.
No, that's true.
That's
true.
And the thing about it is, the thing about it is apparently Tebow did it all by himself too. No one else was out there.
There was no one else on the field.
Game. Yeah, it was crazy.
There was the Messiah. No one on the field.
It's interesting.
All you have to do.
Do I think he'll make the roster as a tight end? That's hard because Tebow sells tickets, man. Even if he's not that good,
that's true.
He sells tickets, so I don't know.
Don't they have Chris Herndon?
He also takes the pressure off of Trevor Lawrence quite a bit because all of a sudden the spotlight is shared amongst the two. So
does that take the pressure off, or does it piss him off? Because if I'm Trevor Lawrence, I'm like, you know what, man? dude, this is my time. Like, you had your time, like respect and whatever.
That's gotta get on his nerves.
People were going nuts because they're like, oh, he doesn't deserve a tight end spot. Other tight ends do. Well, if they didn't sign the tight end before they signed Tebow, they weren't going to sign him anyways. So,
and that's that word, right? That we hate, deserve. No one deserves anything. The fact of the matter is his, best friend ever, Urban Meyer's the coach. So I think the chance of him making the team is really good because of Urban Meyer. Not because I think he can play tight end, but because you guys brought up good points. It's about monetization, right? We just saw that word pop up in the chat. The NFL is about money. It's about selling tickets. Do I know if Tebow is going to do a good job or not? No. But here we are in Denver. We could be laughing at the Jags, but we still have Broncos quarterback problems. It's unreal.
I could definitely see Jacksonville using Tebow like the Saints use Taysom Hill. That would make sense. It would make
throw
fast though.
No, I know, but I'm saying like he can be that multifaceted gadget guy.
Yeah, I think the only problem with that, and you're right, I think in theory that could work. The only problem with that is you've got a rookie head coach and a rookie quarterback that haven't even established themselves yet, and they've got to like somehow get a rhythm going, and then you're going to have Tebow come. It's weird, man, but it's one of those games that I'm worried about. Because I'm worried about the Broncos coming in and the defense thinking, we got some rookie quarterback that we're going to go smash. We got Tebow. If Tebow, Alexander Johnson. Alexander Johnson, get ready to eat with that dinosaur dance. He's going to lay Tebow out. It doesn't have to be able to cover Tebow. It might be on the only tight end he could cover in the NFL. Josie Jewell. Have a heyday.
So
yeah. Well, and that's one of the other things we talked about because we were talking about the defense after the draft. Was, we don't have that middle linebacker that can cover a tight end. We don't need one. Like with all the corners we got, you can have those run-stopping, smash-face linebackers in the middle and then drop a corner down to cover a tight end. So
Baron Browning can cover tight ends.
Yeah. And Fangio doesn't usually have a chase LB anyways. He usually just does like a drop zone anyway. So it's not like they're going to be like man up this tight end, you know what I mean, and go across the field. I mean, there's going to be see ball, get ball. So,
because you were saying it was going to be more like a 4-2-5 instead of a 3-4 base. Or
there's gonna be some.
So I mean, it would make sense. Like I would have much rather have gotten Slater over Surtain, but nothing I can do about it. But having that amount of corners. I would dare say that we don't really need that coverage linebacker now. We can have the Johnsons and the Jewels and worry about them stuffing the run and then drop a corner down on a tight end.
Yeah, well, and everybody, everyone seems to bring up Justin Sternad's name too. And while that's, good in theory, he has yet to take an NFL snap too. So if we think that Justin Sternad is going to just somehow come out on training camp, light the world on fire, and all of a sudden he's your Darren Waller, Travis Kelce answer, that's just not going to happen. He's a project too. Fangio's got these projects finally at the linebacker position. We just don't know if he's going to have the time to develop them.
Justin Sternad, Hall of Famer.
Shadow Jackers wanting Tebow to get put on blast.
Ooh. Well, and then what? You've got Baron Browning. He's wearing the 56. Smoke Dog Al Wilson, right? So that would be like a homage.
My favorite player of all time, John Mobley, Al Wilson.
Oh, dude, I love it, man. Al Wilson, I could still see that neck, coming up here, man. Just one of the coolest players to ever play.
I wanted Cooper to wear the 0 this year, but the 0 in orange and blue would be really sweet.
God forbid, like Trevor Lawrence gets injured. Like we don't want that for anybody. However, what if they got to a point where they had Tebow and they on the roster as a tight end, and they had to put him in as emergency quarterback in Denver? That would be the best day of my life.
We should have done that last year.
Hey, maybe there's a goal line sneak, right, for Tebow, because you don't want to get Lawrence hurt. To your point,
Statue of Liberty every play.
How did Pat Mahomes get hurt? Quarterback sneak. You don't want to get your first round quarterback hurt, so maybe you see him on those weird plays. But Tebow, you better have something because you're a lot older than you were. You're a lot slower than you were. You got Mike Vick running a 4.75 out there. I'm like, Jacksonville should have signed Mike Vick. See if he could run a tight end route.
How pissed would Lawrence be if Tebow shows up with long straight hair at training camp?
Oh man.
What did Vic run on that 40? Was that a 4.7?
Yeah.
And that was with a pulled hammy?
Yeah, that's right. He was banged up, man.
He's
quick.
That
guy's a freak.
Mohamed Badri. I'm not sure how our offense is going to be with this quarterback situation, but I am excited about our defense.
Yeah, well, it's about time with this defense, man. Put up or shut up. Are we going to finally win a game in the month of September? This defense is stacked.
You just jinxed it.
Yeah, this defense is stacked, dude. And, I hear the on paper, we're so good on paper. I don't care. The injuries are going to happen. That's going to rewrite everything. And, one thing I like to do, and I would challenge everybody to do when you're going through your season predictions right now, the day after the schedule release, write the date down. So that way you can try to stay a little consistent, but then when big injuries happen, so do another schedule rundown in training camp. Maybe one in OTAs, maybe one right before preseason, because these things are going to dramatically change. And look at the Niners, man. The Niners are a perfect example of that last year. And, you're not going to have the same excuse of that little bug or, only 1 year with the offensive coordinator. It's just no excuses, man. That should be the line for this year. Not no shortcuts, no excuses.
Well, and this is the one thing I keep seeing is like people going on Twitter and like, oh, Drew Lock is going to win the job. Bridgewater's only here to back him up. He's just here to push him. And I kind of want to remind people listen, Peyton was there when they were drafting Bridgewater. He was the one that did a lot of the scouting reports and did all of the footwork on Bridgewater. Bridgewater was also there only for like a year for Shermer, but he still got used to the offense. And yes, Bridgewater didn't play that well last year. But two things. One, he was on the Panthers, whose roster sucks. And two, he played better than Locke. So
yeah, well,
I'm not saying that either one is going to win. I'm not going to. I think it'll be Bridgewater, but you got to also remember when Bridgewater was on the Saints. Like if you give him that roster, he went 5-1. Like I'm not going to say he's the best quarterback that year, but he was on pace if he stayed in the entire season to be a really, really good quarterback that year with the Saints. So you take that Saints roster and compare it to what we're looking at for our roster. I believe that there is a good shot Bridgewater could win the starting job.
Yeah, I don't know that he's going to hold your team hostage ever. I mean, I'm not so sure he's going to be SWAT rescue and win you a game, but he's not going to just throw it away. And, look, guys, I'm not impressed with the Carolina Panthers coaching staff at all. And that was before Teddy's comments about not practicing 2-minute red zone. I mean, walkthrough in practice is going to be a full practice. Unbelievable. I've never heard anything like that. But, gentlemen, I have never seen a practice so disorganized where you have one man just out of control yelling and Matt Rule at the Senior Bowl. It was night and day difference between Brian Flores and his Miami Dolphins coaches and then Matt Rule and his crew. They had these weird sirens going off. They spent more time on special teams than they did on offense or defense. So when I'm hearing Teddy say these things, I'm like, okay, starting to click a little bit. Matt Rule, also a screamer and yeller. How's that going to translate in the NFL? You might be able to do that with kids at Baylor, but you're not going to be able to do that with kids, millionaires, grown men in the NFL. So, for the Panthers, they have some potential, but you're right, Mike. They're a terrible team. They're disorganized. And right now you're getting just a little snapshot of that with Teddy Bridgewater's comments.
Yeah, and I would even argue that I think Peyton is more familiar with Bridgewater than he is with Locke. So
sure.
I mean, it's not like. Plus, they were working on that Bridgewater trade for a month.
Yeah, well, and
so, obviously they came in with the plan of I want Bridgewater.
Yeah, well, and guys, I want to open this up. Let's talk about this. I mean, we're always talking about the human element, right, of football, whether we want to or not. Well, what has Teddy Bridgewater endured throughout his NFL career versus Drew Lock? And that's something that immediately made me change my stance on who I thought the starter was going to be. I think George Payton looks at Teddy Bridgewater rehabbing after that horrific leg break. And we can talk about that. And Alex Smith has had one too. But that was nasty, man. I think that changed his career. He was a player that I loved in the NFL draft, man. Absolutely loved. And he hasn't been the same guy since. And that's no fault to his own. But when you're George Paton, to your point, Mike, you see what this guy is doing for your team. You see him working with other players with those injuries. You see him coaching up a Case Keenum, as John Elway would say, right? You see all these things. He's a damn good teammate, guys. I mean, like, this guy just wants to win football. But I think the biggest thing with Teddy, he's smart, man. He's really smart. And no, I'm not calling Drew Lock dumb. Everybody calm down. But no, he's smart. He's cerebral. Sometimes those checkdowns are what you need. Hell, I would argue if Drew Lock checked the ball down more, he'd be a better quarterback. And I don't want to check down Charlie. I just want winning football games. That's it. So I'd like to open it up real quick. I mean, what do you guys think? If we're just looking at the human element and George Paton's a human, comparing Drew Lock and Teddy Bridgewater, what do you got?
I've heard a lot of bad versus boring.
Okay.
Lock being bad, Bridgewater being boring. You know what? I'll take boring any day over bad. Bore me to death. That's fine. I don't care.
I think he produced very well. And I mean, he was doing decent, and then he got hurt in the Vikings, had to work his way back, went to the Saints, produced well there. I mean, a great teammate there. Then obviously Drew was still the quarterback. I mean, he still came in and won those 5 or 6 games or whatever. And then he went to the Panthers, where it's just a crapshoot there. So like, I honestly think that he is. What I've heard is that he's a great teammate. He doesn't turn the ball over very much, and he'll get the job done. Like, I don't like saying game manager, but he is like a solid game manager. And people talk about that he doesn't have wheels. Like I think Albright was saying that he doesn't have the mobility as much as Drew Lock, but I would disagree with that. I would say that it's at least comparable. That Teddy Bridgewater is just as like he doesn't do it as much, but when he does move, he is a lot more fluid than Drew Lock as far as mobility.
Yeah, you know what? Even though I am a big supporter and fan of Drew Lock, I wasn't mad at the choice of them bringing in Bridgewater, and this was all done before the whole thing with Aaron Rodgers blew up. But I don't even think that would have made a difference to Paton had that happened before. I think Paton bringing in Bridgewater is not so much as an insurance type of policy thing that a lot of fans are thinking of is going to happen in case Drew Lock gets hurt. It's just more of a confidence issue with Paton, because obviously there's that Vikings connection between Paton, Bridgewater, and Shermer, because at one time or another all those 3 guys were working together as one in Minnesota up until when Bridgewater got hurt. And, he did have a really, I mean, the team he had with the Saints was incredible. Michael Thomas, Alvin Kamara, Cam Jordan on the defensive side of the ball, Marshawn Lattimore. To go from that, and then he went to Carolina last year, and, he went on that big contract, and what that success that he had in New Orleans didn't follow him was because only Bridgewater came and not, the coach, not the team. And obviously the coaching staff and whatever Carolina's doing obviously isn't working, and it failed Teddy Bridgewater big time. So him coming to Denver, and if he gets the starting job, he's gonna have all the tight ends, Noah Fant, he's gonna have Melvin Gordon, he's gonna have Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, he's gonna have the weapons that he didn't have, and Javonte Williams. Thank you. He's going to have the weapons that he didn't have in Carolina. So there's no reason for him to
that tight end is huge, man. I agree. And just before you get in there, Glenn, I mean, like, the tight end, that's a check down quarterback's best friend, and you're getting one of the best to do it. Now, Albert O, I don't think is going to be ready for training camp, maybe not the start, but he's going to be playing. So to your point, man, like that tight end, that's crucial for a quarterback, specifically in today's day and age.
Well, we can't forget that McCaffrey got hurt. He was out nearly the entire season. So when you have your biggest rushing and receiving threat, Gonzo, it makes for a very tough season. I just look at it this way, and the whole Lock hater thing, the idea that 3 weeks ago we had Jeff Driscoll as our number 2. Okay. So like, right.
Who?
So exactly. The Cowboys number 2, I guess. Right.
Yeah.
So I've never understood why it's a problem for us to want to shore up the quarterback room. I think Teddy Bridgewater is is a perfect addition. If you watch his highlights, he doesn't make many mistakes. He throws a great pass. He does run well. He's a smart guy. Again, it's funny that you can compliment by complimenting one guy, it's taking a shot at the other, and we're not. I mean,
exactly, man.
And let me, going into last season, I really thought Drew was going to just absolutely ball out. I really did. You know what? He might this year. We now have two good options, two solid options, a second quarterback that's going to not make a whole lot of mistakes, hopefully, in the event that one of the guys goes down or doesn't play well. We didn't have that last year. So we now have these weapons for, just operating under the auspices that Aaron Rodgers is not coming here. We've already improved because we now have two potential starters for the Broncos and as quarterback. And Luke, if I could ask you one question, you mentioned going to training camp. I've not attended Dove Valley training camp in person. So I would guess that especially after today, I think that that you're going to see that they're going to open things up.
I hope so, man.
Thanks,
the best thing ever.
Tell me what's your favorite part, or what's something that none of us has experienced that. So what is what's the coolest thing about Broncos camp?
So I'll break it down for you and for everybody watching. This is one of the secrets that no one else is going to tell you in the media. All right. When you're credentialed, all the media likes to hang out in one spot over there right by practice. It's the worst spot to watch. The best spot is on the hill where the fans are. You can see everything. There have been so many times where I haven't even grabbed my credential badge because it's not worth it. I'll grab it at the end to try to get an interview or whatever. But that hill, man, sitting on the hill right there at the sun, I brought my little girl one year, brought my wife, my pops, man. It's such a special thing. And I just can't help but think of Mr. Bolin when I'm there, man. I'm a big old sap for Mr. Bolin and the Broncos. But one cool thing, too, is Bill Kolar and the defensive line. They stay as far away as they can because Bill Kolar curses like a sailor. He's used curse words that I haven't even heard before that I want to write down and try to replicate. They hide the defensive line, man, because those big uglies are getting after it, and he's constantly just dog cussing those guys. And I love Bill Kolar, absolutely love him. But it's also interesting when you're at training camp to just kind of watch. And especially for me, I watch a lot of the media members too, being kind of lower down on the totem pole and trying to learn from some of them. Know your why when you're there, even if you're at training camp. Are you there to enjoy the day, or are you there to watch football? Are you there to yuck it up with your friends, or are you there to learn? Ask questions. I mean, it's the coolest thing, man. And finally, if we can get training camp, there's no excuse not to be out there. You're outside. You might get a little bit of a sunburn. Bring a cold pop if you can, of water. But that's what we need more of, man. We need families coming together. The best thing ever at training camp is seeing those kids, guys. I mean, I know there's so many fathers on this podcast and watching right now, but seeing those little kids get their first jersey, seeing those players sign their hats or whatever, and then seeing the grown men mull over those little kids like Mike would to get a jersey from Von Miller, or something like that. Just absolutely run them over. Yeah,
that's all those kids are Mike. Just so you know.
Yeah, that's always interesting to see
all the kids
too.
Are mine.
Yeah, but with regards to Bridgewater, here's the thing, man. You got him for a song, right? But Peyton had to make that move because he didn't make a move in free agency. Deshaun Watson, that showed me how much he was in on Deshaun Watson. My theory, total speculation. I don't have any confirmation on that. But to me, he was really in on Deshaun Watson. Well, now this Aaron Rodgers thing falls in your lap. So you've got to do what you told your team you were going to do, which was bring competition in. How do you do that? You bring a good quarterback in for really cheap, and you have the Panthers pay most of his salaries. So I'm with you, Glenn, man. I think it's a decent deal. And you know what? Teddy Bridgewater isn't that sexy quarterback name that we want that's going to be an MVP candidate, but I think he's going to be a lot better than people think. I really do.
Yeah. Well, dude, just so you know, I'm old enough to have gone to Greeley and seen Elway in training camp, just so you know. So
so you had to smell training camp then. Yeah. That's
UNC, absolutely.
All the super anxious fans. No, but what I was going to say is your backup quarterback, what do you want in your backup quarterback? You want someone you can trust. So even if Bridgewater is coming in as the expected backup, they brought him in because Peyton trusts him.
Yes.
Why would you not?
Yes, and I would challenge you on that point for everybody else that thinks that Drew Lock could be a good backup quarterback. Do you trust him? I don't. Not at all. Would I roll the dice? Sure, you bet. I think Drew Lock, I don't think his NFL career has to end because it doesn't work with the Broncos. But I would just, man, wouldn't we all be disgusted if, they're
in on you, Glenn.
I know.
if he goes to San Fran or goes to somewhere else and then it worked out, in a different system? That would suck, man. That would hurt Broncos country a lot.
I'd like Locke as a backup with Aaron Rodgers at the helm.
Okay,
No.
so Green Bay's interested in Drew Lock in the past. That's something that we've read, something that we all know. They hosted him for visits and all that kinds of stuff. Kenneth Booker getting at us here. Here we go. Take it away, Mike. It's your show.
I worked at Mile High and loved when they would have practices there. I got to watch Emmanuel Sanders make Talib look so bad play after play in the rain. I hate that we got rid of Emmanuel Sanders. I love the guy.
I saw he changed
number 10 behind me.
Yeah, I said I saw he changed his jersey number too, right? Like, didn't he go from
he's number 1?
Yeah, he was 10, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he was 17 in New Orleans, right? Or was that Thomas?
Yeah,
He was.
Okay.
Because
Thomas is 13.
13. There you go. Yeah, Talib, man, that's a dog that you wish you had back, right? And you're getting the length and some of that physicality in Pat Surtain. Absolutely love Pat Surtain. I'm on my victory lap right now when everybody was calling me crazy for Pat Surtain and everyone was falling over themselves with Caleb Farley. Yeah, right. It's been Pat Surtain since day one, dude. Micah Parsons, I also liked Micah quite a bit. I don't know about the Dallas fit, guys. I really don't. I think that's a horrible fit for Micah Parsons. Dallas has a lot of problems. Parsons has had some problems. Maybe it's a match made in heaven.
That's character issues. That's all you need to do to get to Dallas. Character issues. Kelvin
character
Joseph,
issues.
Did you see that tweet that Ezekiel Elliott sent out after they drafted Micah Parsons?
What do you say?
Crap.
Can you say it?
Well,
No.
I can. I'm just trying to remember it word for word. It was something like, "Don't put your thing near me, homeboy," or something like that.
Don't touch me in practice. Yeah,
don't touch me in practice.
Don't
It was
touch
like,
me in
good
practice.
night. You're gonna come after him on draft night with that, Lordy.
Well, then you got Jerry.
Funny.
Jerry's probably not wanting to think about it in the shower anymore either.
He's too busy with Post Malone right now.
Yeah.
You've seen
By the way, that was such a creepy schedule release video. I am so glad the Broncos went with Peyton Manning.
What happened? I didn't see it.
Oh, you haven't seen it? You go watch the Cowboys
Schedule release.
Okay.
It's Jerry Jones and Post Malone. So that's like,
No, the Peyton Manning one was perfect.
It was
It was
beautiful.
hilarious.
Those two go really good together, right? Just like Forrest Gump, like peas and carrots. Like Jerry Jones, Post Malone. All right.
Yeah. Makes sense.
See, Jerry can't get a face tattoo after that tight ass facelift that he got.
So
I love it.
obviously, with the signing of that Green Bay tackle, since we're going to get Aaron Rodgers, what do you think is going to be the trade package that we're going to need to put together if Aaron Rodgers eventually becomes available?
It's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt, fellas, and it's something I'm trying to convince everybody at MHH. They don't think, for whatever reason, man, my partner and a few other guys think draft picks is just going to do it. And that is not the case.
No.
It's going to hurt. You're going to lose some starters. And you know what, Mike? You keep saying Aaron Rodgers is coming here. You're not too far off because John Clayton laid his hat on that today on the airwaves when he was asked, "Hey, Clayton, what do you think about Aaron Rodgers coming to the Broncos? You think it happens?" And he said, "I do, one way or another. I don't know when." He said, "I don't think it could happen in the summer, but maybe later in the year." So maybe you see Aaron Rodgers moved mid-year. How weird would that be before the trade deadline? He actually sits out, right? And the Packers struggle and things like that. What would that package be for Aaron Rodgers? Well, you're obviously looking at a couple first-rounders to start with, but if I'm George Paton, I'm looking at how to not pay players, and maybe I'm asking John Elway for a little help. Hey, Cortland Sutton, your deal's coming up, man. You're going to need to get paid. Maybe they ask for Cortland Sutton. Bradley Chubb, You're going to need to get paid. Maybe ask for Bradley Chubb. Now, I have huge reservations giving up Cortland Sutton because I don't trust Jerry Jeudy just yet. Bradley Chubb, I don't trust Bradley Chubb just yet. And it's nothing against him as the player. It's all about his injury history for me. Man, when your knees, what is it? ACL on each knee, one twice. Yep. I mean, man, I don't know if it's just bad luck, genetics or what, but one more injury. And dare I say, Chubb is really having a heart-to-heart in the mirror with whether or not he can play in the NFL. So if it's me, Jerry Jeudy, he's always in there. So let's say 2 first-rounders, a Jerry Jeudy and a Bradley Chubb, maybe mix Noah Fant in there.
Why a Jerry Jeudy and not a KJ Hamler?
Why do you think? Because KJ Hamler drops more than Jerry Jeudy. You can't be trying to bottom feed Green Bay, Mike. Like they're gonna just straight up laugh at you, man. Like Gooten Goosh or whatever his name is.
We call him Goody.
Goody. All right, I like that. Goody. Yeah, Goody's
Goody.
Goots.
Yeah,
I just keep getting it off of Pat McAfee. They call him Goody.
Okay,
they can't ever say it right.
Well, Goot's going to get the scoots if you call him with that. And you're like, hey, man, we're going to give you KJ Hamler, Melvin Gordon, and Von Miller in 2 first-rounders. We would love that. But I just
they're not going to take Miller. He's too old.
Yeah, and $18 million for 1 year. And, it's
Albert.
tough.
Albert got multiple firsts, a second, and Reisner and Chubb.
No, because of Reisner. Yeah, because you're finally getting your offensive line to a point where it's good. Don't mess it up. And you know what? Don't move Reisner. You can hear Big O on his promos. Don't move this guy. Yeah, don't move him, man. Seriously, do not move him. He's fine because you don't want to screw up what Garrett Bowles and him have going on over there. What they've got going on is beautiful, and I love it. But yeah, it's going to hurt Broncos country. You're going to lose some starters. You're going to lose some fan favorites. Are you going to be okay with that? I am. If it means becoming a Super Bowl contender, you bet. You can love, I guess, Bradley Chubb for all the games he's played and the 2 Pro Bowls he's been in and all that kind of stuff. Was it 1? Okay.
One Pro Bowl.
This is last one.
Yeah,
the virtual Pro Bowl.
Yeah, the virtual Pro Bowler. Yeah,
I thought he went to the Pro Bowl his rookie year, didn't he?
No,
that's what I thought.
He should have.
Did he lead?
He had the same
team?
Maybe I'm wrong. Let me check.
Yeah, he led in sacks, but he didn't make the Pro Bowl.
Okay. Hang on. I'm listing my Judy and Chubb jerseys on eBay.
I heard that there was it wasn't Albright, but he was talking about it. It was 2 firsts, a second, a conditional 4th, and then he had Hamler and Chubb, and he had Hamler in there because he's still on rookie contract, and he would work well with Devontae Adams.
That was Edwards.
Okay.
So would Jerry I mean, yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, you always got to be careful, with where you're hearing things and stuff like that. But this is the problem. We're going to hear that report. We're going to hear a conflicting report, and we're not going to know what any of them are really.
Well,
it's
then,
I said Packers just got Amari Rodgers too, so I don't know if they really want a KJ Hamler.
Yeah. Well, I kept seeing it on
so they'll always have an A-Rod, right?
People were like, "Oh, that's too many draft picks to give up. Like we can't do that. Let's just draft a quarterback next year." If the defense plays as well as we think they're going to, you know how much it's going to cost to trade up into that first round to get a quarterback? Probably 2 firsts, a second or a third. Like we're going to have to trade up that much just to move up into the first.
The biggest problem.
Why wouldn't you go get Rodgers instead of a rookie?
I think you got to go get Rodgers. You got to swing for the fences if you're George Payton. The biggest, I don't know, the most frustrating aspect is, he can't talk about it because of the tampering, and that drives us all crazy in Broncos country, right? We're like, did you call or not? And we're never going to get that straight answer. And I think George Payton's a great guy. Everybody loves him. Well, unless you love Justin Fields. Sorry, Boggs. But it's just one of those deals, man, where Peyton is in the honeymoon period. Dude, Broncos country is going to be after you if you do not land Rodgers, and then we do have a lackluster season with a retread and Drew Lock. I mean, I could see it going that way too. It's not crazy to think that, Drew Lock can have success, but he can also fall on his face. I would ask, which is more probable? And same with Teddy Bridgewater. Is he going to win you some games? Maybe. Is he going to lose you some games? Probably not. So you kind of got to weigh your options there. But yeah, KJ Hamler, I don't know about that. Noah Fant, I could see for sure. I know they got Bob Tonyan and stuff like that up there, and I love him, love the guy, but they're looking for playmakers, and especially if you're giving away an Aaron Rodgers, you want as much back as you can, and it's not going to make the city of Green Bay, right, the team owners, really happy if it's just draft picks.
Yeah, and we're seeing a lot of, you're only getting Aaron Rodgers for 1, 2, maybe 3 years. Well, he's already said that he wants to play into his 40s. And the way that the NFL is set up now, I mean, Aaron Rodgers could legitimately play till he's 43, 44. So, I mean, you're looking 5-6 years potentially with Aaron Rodgers. The reason we didn't have Manning for that long was because he was on borrowed time with the neck surgeries. Aaron Rodgers doesn't have that issue. So he could play as long as Tom Brady if he gets the line to protect him and the offensive weapons that the Broncos have. So there's potentially a chance we could have Aaron Rodgers for 5-6 years. And saying that Aaron Rodgers is a diva, who cares?
Okay.
He's like top 5 of all time. He can be a diva all he wants.
Yeah, no,
that's earned it.
Yeah, well, and there are all kinds of rumors about why his draft stock fell, and you guys can go look into them, and maybe you already know, but they're kind of connected to that diva and stuff like that back in 2003. But with Aaron, I like that with my quarterback. I want him to have an attitude. I want him to care. I want him to get after the coach. I want him to get after his players. I don't want him going over talking to Brett Rippon asking how to play football. I mean, that's exactly what Drew Lock's doing. And, nothing against Brett Rippon, but like the quarterbacks need an adult in the room. And they got that with Teddy Bridgewater now. And I just look, even if you don't, Mike, even if you don't get 4 or 5 years out of Aaron Rodgers, I'd be okay with 1 or 2 years. I really would. Like we've been searching the desert so long. 5 years, the worst stretch in post Super Bowl era history for a franchise. Heck, give me 1 year, give me 2 years. I'm good with it. Let's do it. Sign me up.
We have the cap room and the players to do it.
Yep.
Mike.
How many other teams have that luxury too? Actually,
not many at all. Like
we're in a great
position to do so. I should say.
Yeah.
My biggest fear, man, the Raiders. I just don't trust them at all. I hate them. You got to play good defense if you're the Broncos too and trying to get Aaron Rodgers. You cannot afford for that man to end up in the black hole of Las Vegas or wherever they're at nowadays. But, I haven't heard a lot of momentum necessarily with Rodgers and the Raiders, and that's a good thing for Broncos country. But you know what? Chucky would be through the moon if he got Aaron Rodgers. He hasn't met a quarterback he doesn't love.
Would Chucky and Rodgers get along though? Like that's
no.
Does Chucky and any quarterback get along? I mean, to your point,
does Derek Carr sell enough tickets to get to pay off that new stadium?
See, the Raiders need Tebow.
Does he?
That's what it is.
It's does he sell? Yeah, does he sell enough Revlon? The eye makeup and everything. But no, no, you're exactly right, man. And the Raiders, they're a tough team, man.
Yeah.
All right. Well, honestly, Luke, we just blew that 20 minutes out of the water because we're over.
Hey, Luke, thanks for your 20 minutes.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, dude, you know what, man? I don't ever look at the clock when I'm having fun, ever, dude. And I can rap with you guys even longer next time. So, yeah, man, I had so much fun with you guys. Anytime we can talk football, thank you so much for having me on because this is
appreciate it, man.
Luke, stay on after we close out if you could.
Yeah.
So you can get a hold of Luke at Luke Patterson LP or at MHI_football pod or at Mile High Huddle. We want to thank every single person for joining us in the stream tonight. Again, we go live every Thursday at 7654, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch. So make sure you slap that thumbs up button, subscribe, turn on notifications, follow us on Facebook so you can know when we go live or anytime we post anything amazing content on our pages. Now, remember, coming up on Sunday is the Nothing Rhymes with Orange and Blue podcast. And they are also having a very special guest. The Mad Fanatic is going to be joining
the
Nothing Rhymes with Orange and Blue podcast on Sunday, which is going to be awesome. He's going to help him break down all the Broncos news. They go live, same places, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch at 6543. You know where to put them. So again, have a great evening, everybody. We'll see you on Sunday with the brand new episode of the Nothing Rhymes with Orange Blue podcast with the Mad Fanatic. And I was going to do the Mile High Five, but y'all suck at it. So we can do it.
Hang on. I got a question. Is Mad Fanatic, because you guys have a dope intro, absolutely dope. You're gonna have to ask him to rap a new an intro or something.
I am
for you
down.
guys. Like,
if he wants to do it, I'm down.
or you got to put a freestyle, put him on the spot, man, because he's out there in Baltimore repping Broncos hard, and yeah, Broncos country. You're in for a treat, man.
Because like our intro music, honest to God, stole it from Eminem. Sorry.
Yeah, I was rapping the lyrics while
So
we
I'll
were
have to
on
change
the
it.
countdown.
I was loving it, dude. Yeah, I was hoping you guys could see
my
me
ringtone.
with my hood on, be rabbit.
It's one of those ones where like you go and find a you go and find a different version.
Mom
of it
brings
that's
spaghetti and we're all
just different enough to where you're not going to get like that copyright claim.
Mhm,
And that's what I did and threw it in there. So it works. So if
yeah.
Mad Fanatic wants to do that, we're down. Johnny, ask him. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and head out. Make sure you hit those thumbs up. It helps so much. We are on that drive for 1,000 subscribers. So anything you can do, we would appreciate. Thanks, guys. We'll see you on Sunday.
Bye.